Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, February 20th, 2023. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network, live from Los Angeles. It is NAACP Image Awards week. We, of course, are nominated for Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we'll be broadcasting from here all week. All right, folks, on today's show, it has been 4 months since North Carolina native Shanquella Robinson was murdered in Mexico. Her family and activists are on a mission to make sure that those who killed her are actually punished for that. We'll talk to one of the activists who initiated a pink letter campaign demanding that Mexican authorities do something now. A Florida daycare worker puts children in blackface to celebrate Black History Month. Wait till you hear what the teacher said to explain this. It's kind of strange. Also, folks, more states are reviewing the AP Black Studies course after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis complained about it. We'll tell you exactly which states are following in their footsteps. Also, as they near a championship, the Howard University men's swimming team make the cover of Sports Illustrated. And our Fit Live Win segment, trainer Massy Aries will be in the house to show us some exercises that will help all of us get in shape, especially when we are traveling. Folks, it is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Live from L.A., let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on Go Roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, it has been 4 months since Shanquella Robinson was killed in Mexico while vacationing with friends. Her family, North Carolina activists, they sent hundreds of letters to Mexico authorities to demand justice in her death. On Saturday, the group marched to a local post office to mail the pink letters asking Mexican authorities to do more to arrest the person or the persons responsible for her death. In November, Mexican officials began investigating the incident as a homicide. A warrant for one of the people on vacation with Robinson has been issued, but no arrest has been made. Joining us now from Charlotte, North Carolina, is John Barnett, a national civil rights activist. He helped organize the march and the letter campaign. So, John, again, so they announced a warrant, but my goodness, 3 months go by, no arrest. What are they saying to the family?
The FBI said, they're at a point where they've done everything they can do. And this, we have to keep in mind, this is not in Sanford, Florida with Trayvon. This is not in Ferguson with Michael Brown. This is in Mexico. And they're very, very slow there. A speeding ticket might take 8 months, where in Charlotte it might take 60 days. So that's our challenge. So that's why we targeted Mexico to send letters to them to let them know how serious we are about the life of Shanquella Robinson. And it's very unfortunate because, the FBI said we've pretty much done everything we could. It's up to Mexico now. So now we're applying the pressure to Mexico. And yours truly may be going to Mexico to initiate some civil rights demonstrations there. Learning about their amendments and the whole nine. But my goal is to go there, and I'm giving them a time frame, 60 days. If I don't hear nothing back from these letters, because I'm sure by tomorrow morning, we had to spend $1.45 to send the letters over, which is the norm is like 50 cents. So we sent a lot of letters over. So I'm sure they're going to get about 500 letters, maybe more, in their mailbox on this Wednesday or Thursday, whatever time it arrives in Mexico, including President Joe Biden. And I want to thank you, Mr. Martin, real quick, because your show was instrumental in us pushing the movement for Emmett Till. Because of your show and a couple small shows similar to yours, we were able to Joe Biden actually watched the Emmett Till movie inside the White House with the family that I work with, Ms. Priscilla Sterling and her family. So I want to thank you for being the first to run the Emmett Till story for us, because it was very successful. And now Joe Biden is going to prayerfully get on board with us about executing the warrant for her. That's another story, though.
And obviously the FBI is involved, but the State Department, have they said anything to you or the family? Are they involved in this as well?
Yes, they contacted. Actually, I had the family, the mother and the daughter at my lawyer's office, Charles Everidge here in Charlotte, North Carolina. He allowed me to use the space to meet, and they actually called. The FBI called while we were in the meeting, and it was a female, and she had basically told the mother that we're doing something very special. And they did say that Shanquella Robinson's case was at the top priority for them. So we'll see how that works out. But they've really been communicating very much so with the family, I guess, from the pressure of, the media exposure that she's gotten. But it's still moving too slow for us. I told a reporter yesterday that if Shanquella Robinson's name was Madonna or Britney Spears, those 6 individuals, the Cabo 6, would be locked up by now.
Absolutely. Look, it is a very long time here. And so you have this campaign. How many letters were actually sent?
I think we emailed and we sent letters this past Saturday at Little Rock Zion Church, Charlotte. I would say almost close to 800 was sent. And we did both email and we did letters. We had over close to 150 people marching with us. And we also sent letters to President Joe Biden as well. We're trying to get Vice President Kamala Harris to use this as a little push for her sitting in that seat. We really was kind of targeting her, to get on board with us as well. She's a female. She should be able to connect with this case. So we sent the letters also to President Joe Biden. He got a lot of letters.
Right then. Well, John, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And keep up the good work and keep us abreast of what happens next in this case.
We sure will. Thank you for your help.
Folks, my panel today, I'm going to talk to them when we come back. My panel, Dr. Julianne Malveaux. She is the Dean of the College of Ethnic Studies, California State University, Los Angeles. Dr. Amakongo Dabinga, Senior Professorial Lecturer, School of International Service, American University. Renita Shannon, Georgia State Representative. So we're going to go to a break. We'll chat with them when we come back about this case and some other news as well on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
Fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hi, I'm Eric Nolan.
I'm Shantae Moore.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the share button on Facebook as well. And, of course, you can also download our Black Star Network app on Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And if you have Amazon Fire TV, you can actually watch us on a 24-hour streaming channel right there on Amazon News. Simply go to Amazon News. And if you have Alexa, you can actually say, Alexa, I want to hear the Black Star Network. And Alexa will actually pull up the audio of our show as well. So please support us in doing that. All right, let's go to my panel here. We're going to talk about the Shanquella Robinson story. Representative Shannon, I want to start with you because, I mean, here's the reality. Look, when you start dealing with international situation, it is not, as John said, it is not the same as a domestic situation. And so there's limited things the federal government, the United States, can actually do when something like this happens in another country.
Absolutely, you're right. There's a limited role that our federal government can play. And I feel like at this point, this is almost where individual citizens do have the ability to play a larger role. And I say that because if folks start talking about not choosing Mexico as a place to go for your next vacation until something is actually done about this case, I do think that you possibly would see some movement. You know, in all this time, I feel like I haven't heard anything about this case since you last talked about it on your show, Roland. That's really problematic because I'm just thinking that every day, as time continues to go by, the folks who were responsible for her death are not being interviewed. I suspect that they are probably not, you know, having to put any testimony or anything on the record. And so with that, you have time for things to change. You have time for people to come sort of, you know, avoid telling the truth. And so this is just very, very disturbing.
It is Congo, and the reality is what the family is doing, what the activists are doing, all that's necessary because you have to keep the attention on stories like this. Otherwise, I mean, let's just be real clear. Shanquella Robinson is not that white woman who disappeared. What was it, Aruba? And I swear Fox News was they still doing stories on her being missing. This is what happens when black women come up missing or even killed.
Every single day, and without networks like the Black Star Network, it does not get attention. And it's important that we continue to keep our voices raised and our feet moving on this, and the letter writing campaigns. And we have to do more in all of our platforms. I would add, however, that when it comes to international pressure, I believe the United States can indeed do more, because the fact of the matter is we have Joe Biden, who spent a 10-hour train ride going to Kyiv, you know, as we mark the 1 year commemorate what a 1 year since the war in Ukraine started, and they've moved heaven and earth in terms of the tanks and all of these other types of things. And many of us support Ukraine independence, but can we get some vocal support at the very least? Can we get some commentary so that people, the government in Mexico, can know that we're putting the entire nation on blast as it relates to what the leadership's going to do there? This is a citizen of our country that was killed in their territory. And so I believe that whether it's Vice President Kamala Harris, whether it's Biden, if they really, they've been doing incredible things, you know, to mark Black History Month and, like, as your last guest said, showing chill and the like. But there's some things on the ground happening right now that we need them to help lend their voice to. And as the issues relating to missing Black girls and missing Black women is a serious issue in our community and continues to be. So I wish that they would use some more of their influence to, at the very least, publicly raise their voice on these issues and get the State Department and other people more involved publicly, because they're doing a lot around the world, and this is definitely something that they can lend their voice and do other actions as well to make something happen on the ground there.
Julian, again, so many of these stories don't get the attention. This, if we want to talk about racism in mainstream media, this is a perfect example. You cannot convince me that a white woman is murdered by her husband or murdered by a friend, and this story has disappeared. Every single network, broadcast, or cable would have reporters down in Mexico on this story every single day. This is what happens. And so, again, the Mexican authorities, that's one thing. What I'm talking about, the lack of attention, white mainstream media. If people need to understand why black-owned media matters, because let's be clear, it's a whole bunch of black targeted media ain't discussing this story. This is why we matter.
You know, Roland, you're absolutely right. And it's very galling that, first of all, people know who did this woman. They have video. They know who did it. But it was done in Mexico. So therefore, nothing will happen except for the Mexican authorities doing arrests. And of course, the international piece makes it more complicated. But you're right. What was her name? Natalie Holloway. There was that little runaway bride who basically weeks of coverage, and she was just hiding out because she didn't want to get married. And so this is a dead woman, a sister who was killed. And people are like, it's radio silent, except for Roland Martin Unfiltered, except for you. You know, we don't hear about this. But the disappearance of Black women, the disregard for Black women, let's just put it that way, it's endemic. So it's the misogynoir, as my young people say, just beyond misogyny, but a special kind of misogyny that hits Black women, which means it's okay to discard us. It's okay to overlook us. I mean, this is a horrible case. Renita has a really great point, too. What if we start a boycott in Mexico? What if even 5% of the people who said they were going to Mexico said, no, I'm not going because I'm not safe? And I mean, that would make a huge difference in terms of moving folks. But the president ought to say something. The vice president ought to say something. But even more than that, we ought to say something. And, you know, you're doing it here, but you're right. Where is call the roll? You know, BET, call the roll. Black targeted media. We need Black media, and we need more regard for Black women. It just is not happening, despite the fact that Black women hold up more than half of the sky in Black America.
Yeah, and like I say, you have, of course, the individuals. They were her so-called friends. They went down there. You know, she's dead. Her stuff comes. They literally bring her stuff back to her parents. They know exactly what the hell happened. So certainly, what is needed is for U.S. authorities to put pressure on Mexican authorities to move, because we have seen this in other countries. We've seen where they actually prioritize. And the United States also, we do have leverage. There are things that we can deny Mexico by saying, hey, we need you to get involved in this. And so this absolutely matters. You cannot have a situation where this Black woman is killed in Mexico and an arrest warrant issued, but nothing done. That to me is also even crazier. Nothing done whatsoever. And so and her parents want answers, but they also want justice. And none of us would want to see our sister or niece or cousin, aunt, or mother go there killed, and then you were wondering what happened and why are these people actually held accountable for what took place. With that, folks, let's have our Black and Missing. Charlisa Bennett left her Fairfield, Alabama home on New Year's Day, and she has not been seen since. The 16-year-old is 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighs 284 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about Charlisa Bennett should call the Jefferson County, Alabama Sheriff's Office at 205-325-1450, 205-325-1450. Renita, quickly before I go to break, you know, we have this segment here, and here's, again, what's baffling to me. We do this every single day, and what ends up happening? You don't see these people being covered elsewhere. I mean, Black people are missing, mainstream media doing nothing.
Right. And as you showed the picture of this young woman missing, two things occurred to me. Number one, whenever we have black and missing, it's almost it's more often black women or black femmes that you are showing. And then number two, like you said, where is the rest of black media to have a black and missing section? Maybe if all the black media, whether you're talking about print, podcast, radio show, maybe if they all got together and even just copied your list just to amplify the folks that are missing, maybe something would happen. So I know we got to cut to a break, but I just, that's what stood out to me.
Again, we see this over and over and over again, and Julian, I just don't understand. And we know we have a human trafficking problem in this country. And we do these stories, and it's crazy to me. Individuals have been missing for a month or 2 or 3 months, and you don't hear their names anywhere. Other than what we talk about it, you're not hearing it. You're not seeing this raise up to a critical crisis.
If these were white people, it would be on the front page of the New York Times. The fact is that Black life is cheap to many people. That's why the Black Lives Matter movement is so important. It's reminding us of Black life, the vitality of it, the importance of it, the significance of it. When every show, Roland, you've got somebody who's been missing, and like you said, for a month, 2 months, 3 months. And again, why does not the mainstream media do more about this? Because they don't care, and because they don't have to, because their news directors don't give a darn, because their editors don't give a darn, and I keep my language clean today, but because they don't really care about us. And if we had, the FBI has task force this, task force for that, why not a task force for missing Black women? And Renita's right. I mean, when we look at these, very rarely, every now and then, very rarely is it a young man. Usually it's a young sister. And it probably is not only human trafficking, but, some other things that are equally nefarious. We need to keep the media accountable.
Indeed. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. When we come back, we'll talk about the frauds over at Fox News. And how they supported election, the lies of Donald Trump on the air, but they also know it wasn't true. They were lying the whole time. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Most people think that these television shows that tell stories about who we are as Black men, and then they paint these monolithic portraits of us. They think that they're being painted by white people. And I gotta tell you, there are a whole bunch of Black folk that are the creators, the head writers, the directors of all of these shows, and that are still painting us as monoliths. The people don't really want to have this conversation.
No, they don't.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Carr. An hour of living history with Dr. Richard Mariba Kelsey, thinker, builder, author, and one of the most important and impactful elders in the African American community. He reflects on his full and rich life and shares his incomparable wisdom about our past, present, and future.
African genius is saying that my uncle was a genius, my brother was a genius, my neighbor was a genius. I think we ought to drill that in ourselves and move ahead rather than believing that I got it.
That's next on The Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Shantae Moore.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, the folks at Fox News have been hit with another lawsuit, folks. They're being sued by Dominion Voting Systems, fighting to show how Fox intentionally lied to their viewers about election problems. Last week, Dominion attorneys released parts of a 200-page legal filing from a Delaware state court alleging Fox Corporation knowingly aired false information about its software switching votes for views and political pressure. Dominion filed a defamation lawsuit against Fox News and its parent company in 2021 for $1.6 billion. Folks, various text messages, emails, and testimony show top Fox executives and hosts doubted election fraud claims and were concerned about how their conservative audience might receive fact-checking. Fox said they covered Trump's allegations about voter fraud as any other news organization and is protected by freedom of speech. In a public statement, Fox said there will be a lot of noise and confusion generated by Dominion and their opportunistic private equity owners, but the core of this case remains about freedom of the press and freedom of speech. Well, not really true, Omakongo, because what it revealed is they knew there were lies. Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity saying one thing privately, saying something else on the air. That's where they're going to have some serious issues.
Oh, absolutely. And let's not forget, it goes all the way to the top of the chain with Rupert Murdoch, who, brought up a couple of issues here and there, but never shut it down. And, their executive at Fox said that they were going to keep this going. And this was all because that they were losing viewership to Newsmax. And so they decided that they needed to go as extreme as they needed to keep their base. The highest two network shows on cable, Tucker Carlson and Hannity, are full of hosts who just lie. And really at the end of the day, we've seen Tucker Carlson in the video late last year, and he was talking about, when I put up against pressure, I lie all of the time. So the top network hosts are just liars. And really, we have to understand the sponsors of these shows. They should be really concerned, because if they haven't pulled out by now, when are they going to do it? And this is why I say the insurrection is ongoing, because these guys, unless hopefully they do lose to this Dominion lawsuit, unless there's some type of technicality or something, they are part of an ongoing insurrection. And this is the same network, Roland, that today or in the last few days, Kevin McCarthy gave thousands of hours of video of the insurrection, like 40,000 hours or something, I don't know how many thousands of hours, gave it to Tucker Carlson, not every media outlet, but gave it to him specifically for him to comb through. This is Putin-loving Tucker Carlson. Who knows what they're going to do with that video? There's secret locations that are going to be there. And so you would think that Kevin McCarthy would have better judgment with what just came out with this news story last week about how much they lie. But he is also in the pocket of Trump's base and of Fox News as well. And more media outlets should be demanding that something be done. I don't know if there's any government intervention that could be done with something like what Kevin McCarthy has done, but this network is full of liars from top, and I'm not going to say to bottom, because there were a lot of producers and other people there that actually were trying to fact check them. But what did Tucker Carlson do in one text exchange? He said, get this woman fired. She's hurting our bottom line. They were scared of Trump's base, and they were scared of Newsmax, and they were interested in profits over the truth. And now here we are.
The fact here, Julian, these are expert liars. What the documents release show, Fox News was scared to death of these white conservative viewers fleeing to Newsmax or One America News. And so they chose to move forward with the lie, all out of profit. It shows you that these people have no principles, they have no morals, they have no values, they have no conviction.
Are you surprised, Roland? I mean, this has been... Here's the bottom line, though. Dominion has a very good lawsuit against Fox, because that company, that corporation, has been basically demeaned. They said that Dominion had lied. This is a publicly traded company, and so we will look at what's happened to their stock as a result of these people essentially deciding to lie on them. Now, I'm not surprised at anything that comes out of any of them. Calderon, Tucker, Hannity, Laura Ingraham, as you say, they're all liars. And they're practiced at it. I call Laura Ingraham the high priestess of prevarication, because she would know a lie if it slapped her in the head. But all of them. But the question is, what other than suing, what recourse do we as consumers have? Now, not me, because I don't watch Fox, but some folks do. But what recourse do consumers have because they've been misled? Is there anything that people can do about these lies? And the answer, under their rule of freedom of speech, is probably no. So we're disgusted, but even as we're disgusted, we understand that this is the game they're ginning up for 2024, when there's going to be a whole nother set of lies and a whole other set of liars. So just look at Miss Nikki Haley. I'm not going to run. She's running. I mean, they don't know truth. They don't know truth. And so because they don't know truth, the public is being misled. And I don't think there's very much we can do about it except for be individually vigilant to look at your Black Star Network and, the truth that you bring to the table, and a few others. But there are not a lot of other people who are dedicated to truth. And I mean by that the major networks who have not. This should be an investigation by somebody. Come on.
Absolutely. And Renita, look, what is so dastardly about what these folks did? I mean, they are giving air. They are knowingly airing lies. And then has the temerity to get mad at other folks who call them out on their lies by saying, oh, no, we're fair and balanced. Oh, no, it's the mainstream media. They knew Sidney Powell was a hack. They knew Rudy Giuliani was a hack. OK? They even refused to let Trump call in on January 6th. Fox News is complicit in the destroying of democracy in America.
Absolutely. You're only 100% correct. And I hope that Dominion will not only go after Fox Corporation, but go after folks like Tucker Carlson who individually spew these lies. Yes, the press has freedom of speech. And yes, there's a such thing as the media having a certain type of right to present certain things. But they were going much further than that. They were saying they had evidence that these machines had flipped votes and that there was evidence of fraud. Their lie was so pervasive that even in Georgia, I had to sit through committee meetings, day-long committee meetings with Rudy Giuliani coming before our committee to talk about how he knew that there had been fraud in the elections. But the thing that I could never understand that was so stupid about this entire strategy for anybody who actually supports Trump is that when you look at the data, Trump won on the machines. Where he lost was the absentee ballot. So why would you attack the machines and say that the Dominion machines had cost him the election when all the data showed Trump won on the machines? It was the absentee ballots that actually did things like have Georgia flip in the presidential election. And that is the reason why you saw across the country after the election, Republicans nationwide started going after how we use and access to absentee ballots. So the whole thing never made any sense. And like I said, I hope that Dominion not only goes after Fox Corporation, but that they go after everyone who individually told these lies. And I hope that they get a settlement that is so large that it literally bankrupts Fox as a news channel.
Indeed. And Congo, it would be absolutely great to see them lose because liars need to pay for their actions.
They are the number one promoters of not only misinformation, but disinformation. This is their brand. And I mean, you have people going to jail. You got the Ashley Babbitts of the world losing their lives over these lies. And so if people really still think that lies sell and that that's going to take you to the top, especially if they lose this lawsuit, this could be the departure point, Roland, for people to finally decide that we're going to get back to fact-based journalism and fact-based information. Because as was it Johnny Cochran used to say, you hit people in their pocketbooks and their hearts and minds will follow. I mean, we have to also remember that not only do we have what they're doing at Fox, but as Joe Madison says, we have all of these backbenchers, you know, on these AM dials, on these lesser known radio stations and on the YouTubes and in the podcast and all of these other networks who are also magnifying the lie. And so just as some of these court cases, they haven't fully got Alex Jones yet. Hopefully they're still going to get him, you know, because he's claiming he doesn't have any money right now, but I think they're still going to end up getting him eventually. If Fox get hits in the way that Renita is talking about as well, these backbenchers, they should understand that they're going to be next. So why not actually focus on facts? Why not actually focus on having some fact-based journalism and really get to the point where you're covering your own behind, because it's just a matter of time before they come for you too, but it can happen soon enough.
Indeed, indeed. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about the attack on AP Black Studies programs from other states beyond Florida. Also, speaking of Florida, how do you celebrate Black History Month by putting kids in blackface? My head is hurting even thinking about that. All right, so we're going to discuss that next. Hey, folks, don't forget, support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app. We're available on Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can also watch us on Amazon News, on Amazon Fire TV. So you can just simply go to the app, click. You can watch our 24-hour, 7 days a week live streaming channel. We're right there along with the other cable networks, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. And, of course, you can also, folks, support us in what we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. And that's critically important. So as you can see your check and money orders to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And, of course, get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. The book is available everywhere. Big Bella Books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Bookshop, Chapters, Books A Million, Target. You can also download the audio version on Audible. We'll be right back live from Los Angeles on the Black Star Network. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Next on Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. Listen to this. Women of color are starting 90% of the businesses in this country. That's the good news. The bad news, as a rule, we're not making nearly as much as everyone else. But joining us on the next Get Wealthy episode is Betty Hines. She's a business strategist, and she's showing women how to elevate other women.
I don't like to say this openly, but we're getting better at it. Women struggle with collaborating with each other. And for that reason, one of the things that I demonstrate in the sessions that I have is that you can go further together if you collaborate.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Amber Stevens-West.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
On the Black Star Network. We are live here in Los Angeles, so welcome back. So, all right, anytime you see an utterly ridiculous, crazy, outlandish, nonsensical story, what automatically comes to mind must be Florida. That is the case. A Miami daycare is catching lots of heat from parents because they had a Black History Month program and some of the kids were put in blackface. No, I am not lying. The Studio Kids Daycare, that's the name of it. Studio Kids Daycare, they received pictures of their toddlers whose faces were painted blackface with black paint with the tagline, Happy Black History Month. Courtney Politis, a parent, sent the photos to the daycare's owner, and she responded, "Stan, what's racist?" The teacher, who's Argentinian, apologized. She claimed she didn't mean to offend because blackface is a part of her country's cultural tradition. It is unclear if the teacher is still employed. The school has refused to comment. Julianne, take it away.
There's nothing to say. First of all, if the woman lives in the United States, she must live under a rock. How dare she say it's part of their culture? It's not part of any Latin American culture. That's nonsense. And to subject those babies to that, good for that parent for speaking up. But, you know, like you said, only in Florida you get this kind of nonsense. It's repugnant, and not only should the woman be fired, but that daycare center needs to be fully investigated. That kind of racism toward a child is just unacceptable.
I'm sorry, Renee, no words. I'm trying to figure out, if you're the owner, how in the hell you, well, she's Argentinian. Boo, you're in America.
Oh, Roland, I have actually even less.
Somebody working there should have said, "Hey, baby, not a good idea putting blackface in the United States."
Well, Roland, I actually have less words than you because I grew up in Florida. So I really hate to see these types of stories come out from Florida. It's not only Florida that these things happen, but when it does, it's especially embarrassing for the majority of Floridians who know better than this. I agree with what Dr. Malveaux said. Unless you've been living under a rock, everyone at this point should know that you do not put children, adults, you don't put anybody in blackface. That has been well established. It has been well documented. I feel like every single year there is some sort of reminder where somebody does something idiotic and puts somebody in blackface that reminds the entire world, don't put people in blackface. So I just can't understand how this daycare worker would, and even the owner of the place would not understand why this is problematic, and then have the gall to go on the internet and say, "Oh, I don't understand what's racist." I mean, this is something that can be taken care of with a simple Google. It's free to Google.
Yeah, I'm not quite understanding the logic here, Congo. And if I was the parents, man, I'll be pissed off too.
Yeah, most definitely. This could probably be the reason why we need to have Black history taught in our society. This is like a prime example, right? The fact of the matter is, unfortunately, and when I'm doing my work at these companies and in these schools and dealing with an international audience in our diversity trainings, this actually is an international phenomenon still to this day. In the Netherlands, one of their characters is in blackface called Black Pete. In China, it's happening. In Belgium, it's still a practice. And really, the fact of the matter is, as far as we are behind in what's happening as it relates to teaching Black history, many countries across the world are farther behind us. And so in many of these places, Argentina and the like, you still don't get darker faces that grace the television screen. I remember there was a South American version of We Are the World, and nobody in the video was darker than like Shakira. And so really, at the end of the day, a lot of countries have not made any progress as it relates to teaching about different aspects of what's wrong, what's racist, and what's disrespectful. And if people are coming into America and they're not getting the training to understand how we do it here, they are going to end up the latest hashtag. And this is what we have right now.
That is the case. And I just want people to understand that, look, this is the stuff that we have to combat on a consistent basis. And then you have, again, the folks who want to try to explain away by saying, "Oh, no, it's a whole cultural thing." Well, guess what? As an American, if I go to somebody else's country, I better learn the practices and the cultural things there, as opposed to go, "Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know I'm an American." They're not going to take it lightly over there. And guess what? When you come over here, You had damn well better learn what is cultural here in this country and not bring that nonsense from elsewhere. That's the issue there for me, Julian. So when you step on these shores, and this is, this is the thing that people need to understand. You might be an immigrant from somewhere else, but when it comes to black folks, you had damn well better learn what the hell we went through and what we still went through, still go through, in terms of how we're trying to counter our history. And I'm not simply just excusing somebody by saying, oh, well, she didn't know. Where were supervisors at the daycare? Was she the only person in the building? Somebody with a brain could have said, hey, baby, this ain't smart. This will not turn out well.
And where did she get the blackface from? Did she bring it from home? Did she buy it? Did they use daycare monies to buy it? I mean, it's beyond outrageous. I mean, we're all speechless, but even as speechless as we may be, what we also know is while this doesn't happen a lot, it does happen. And the fact is that this woman, firing her is the least of what needs to happen. That daycare center, from my opinion, needs to be closed. I mean, if they do not know how to present Black History Month, needs to be closed. But I'm really curious, where did she get the blackface from? Was it shoe polish? Was it paint? Did you deliberately go and buy this mess? Did you have a requisition from the daycare to get some from, I don't know where you get blackface from, but where did she get it from? This was a deliberate act. This was not some accident.
Indeed. So let's stay in Florida, folks. Now, of course, we were talking about the AP Black Studies course. Well, obviously, other states are now trying to follow the lead in the footsteps of Governor Ron DeSantis. And so what the Republicans are now doing in Arkansas, Virginia, North Dakota, and Mississippi, now examining these same courses. Officials there say they're going to review the course to see if it conflicts with policies on laws restricting race teaching. Montana, Georgia, Texas, and South Carolina said no review of the AP African American Studies course is planned in the education of freedom, enslavement, resistance, and discussions of identity and culture. However, officials indicate they may reconsider a review later. The AP course is currently being piloted in 60 classrooms nationwide. The pilot will continue this fall, and the class will be widely available in 2024 unless states block their schools from offering it. Look, this is what happens when you have Republicans controlling the state government. Renita, you see there in Georgia, and this is why I keep trying to explain to people, you gotta vote. You gotta understand power. You have to understand why we cannot be missing in action, because these folks on the right, they're voting because they want to control things like this.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's appalling that they would mess with the AP history classes and African studies. I remember growing up in Florida, as I mentioned before, and I took AP history and a host of other AP classes in high school, and you expect to learn real information. The thing with this, whether they talk about banning teaching critical race theory, now you're trying to erase the courses that would teach African American history from AP perspective. All of these things make no sense because we are continuing to see in the media that people want more information about what has been the history of Black folks in this country, not less. And you can see that by evidence that now you've got the entertainment sector, for example, Hulu, they're showing 1619 Project right now. So people want more information about this. But, every time I see something like this pop up, where conservatives are trying to erase our history, all it makes me continue to remember, and I hope other folks can see this as well, but all they're trying to do is basically it's them admitting that the way that Black folks have been treated in this country is so poor and so embarrassing and so devastating that they do not want that to be actually taught to people in the country. But I think that this is a idiot's mission, because people want more information, and they are showing every day that they will learn what happened, the history of Black folks in this country, one way or another, either way you slice it.
Congo, the thing that we need to understand here, is going to keep happening. They are going to use their power, and it's not going to be limited to this class. I keep warning people, it wasn't just critical race theory. They want to target anything and everything dealing with equity, diversity, inclusion, multiculturalism, you name it.
Absolutely. That's why they're looking at banning books like Mouse, a graphic novel dealing with the Holocaust. Some of these legislators have over 800 books on their banned book list that they have across in these different districts. And we're talking about books about Malala and, children's books about Rosa Parks and the like. And the reason why people need to heed your warning, Roland, is because we're actually starting to see it in Florida right now. For all of these non-Black folks, white parents and all of those folks who don't want to get out there and support what we're talking about right now, we need to understand Ron DeSantis is talking about getting rid of all AP courses if there's bigger pushback. So you Florida parents, you got kids taking the AP exam right now who won't get any credit for it, won't be able to take it in their junior and senior years going forward. And if you're going to let that stand, it's all because you did nothing when he started coming for us first. I tell my students every week, when it comes to activism in this country and trying to silence voices, they always come for Black people first because they assume that most people are not going to speak up. And then they start going into different communities and they'll start targeting the LGBTQ community, they start targeting women, but they always go with us because they feel people will be the most complacent. And then before you know it, your whole experience is trash. I mean, just look at it with Black unemployment, right? If you target the issues facing with us, you deal with the issues facing the other communities. We are always first on the chopping block. So parents, right now, this is the time to join the fight to make sure that our history is included, the history of other non-white, cisgendered male people are included as well in the history because they're coming for you, then your child's education is going to suffer. And lastly, Roland, I got to say, to the College Board, I appreciated a letter that you wrote about Ron DeSantis last week, but you let us down by caving in the first place. You had all of these scholars, prominent scholars, working on this, and they worked so hard, and you let them down. Black professors and teachers, K-12 and in the university level, were only about 7% of the teaching population in both areas. So we're putting in our efforts every single day, and you should have known that this was going to be politicized. I don't know what you're going to do about it now, but you let us down, and you need to do a little bit more going forward as well. But lastly, once again, all non-Black parents, they're coming for you and your kids as well. You need to get on track with us and fight this.
Folks, hold tight. When we come back, we're going to talk to a Tennessee representative who wore dashiki on the floor. Boy, the Republicans get besides themselves when it came to that. We'll also talk about the Howard University swim team, of course, making the cover of Sports Illustrated. And a white woman, I'm confused. The brother is shoveling snow on the public sidewalk, and she gets mad that he's shoveling snow. Lord have mercy. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live in Los Angeles. Back in a moment. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Most people think that these television shows that tell stories about who we are as Black men, and then they paint these monolithic portraits of us. They think that they're being painted by white people. And I gotta tell you, there are a whole bunch of Black folk that are the creators, the head writers, the directors of all of these shows, and that are still painting us as monoliths. The people don't really want to have this conversation.
No, they don't.
Hi, I'm Kim Burrell.
Hi, I'm Carl Payne.
Hey, everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks. So imagine you are elected to the Tennessee House, and then you decide to wear a dashiki and an afro. And Lord, these white Republicans just lose their minds. Well, that's what happened to my next guest, State Representative Justin Pearson. When he did so, boy, these folks just got all upset. They said he was violating the dress code, even though there's no dress code. It makes no sense whatsoever. He joins us right now. My goodness, first of all, congratulations on your election. That's first.
Thank you so much, Roland. I appreciate it, and really grateful to serve in District 86 here in Memphis and Millington and Shelby County.
Well, Lord, now you got these white Republicans just losing their mind because, they ain't never seen a black man with an afro and dashiki. Oh, my goodness. What's going to be next? H-Rap Brown, berets, and long guns and leather coats?
I mean, what you know and what I know is it had very little to do with wearing the dashiki in and of itself. It's what it represents. And in a system of white supremacy, and one where control is what is most important, where the elevation of whiteness is what people want, you will be ridiculed for anything that is subversive to that status quo. And I think what happened when they saw our afro and our dashiki, which is honoring our ancestors and paying homage to the people who made this possible, is also for them a recognition of change. And when you're in this culture that really prides itself on being the same, really prides itself on being, as you know, it's white, supermajority, male, cisgendered folks. It's not a place of inclusivity. It's not a place of true representation where black folks' voices and queer folks' voices and people who are different voices are really elevated. Then we do something that upsets them by just our presence and our being. But that's really important for us to do. In this type of environment where they're taking away HIV funding, which we know disproportionately hurts black folks, trying to retain third graders in the state of Tennessee, which we know is going to disproportionately hurt black folks and poor folks, continuing to allow corporations to run over the poor and not raising the minimum wage, not providing housing. They want to talk about an attire and not do their jobs, which is really representing people to help Tennesseans be lifted out of poverty and be lifted to the point of some prosperity in a state that is getting a lot of money and resources, but is going to the people who are most wealthy here.
And then they even told you, if you don't like it, find you a new career. Excuse me?
Listen, it is exactly who they are. And for a lot of folks who I talk with and say things about, well, you can just wear a suit and tie and this wouldn't be an issue at all, I remind them, I've been wearing a suit and tie since I was 8 years old. I have no problem with wearing a suit and tie. That is not what is at issue. What is at issue is what the Republican Party of Tennessee says about who belongs. See, that is what is at issue. That's the conversation that we have to have, because what they are saying is you don't belong. And in their response, first they say, well, there are these rules. We learned there are no rules about attire. Permanent Rule 2 only talks about decorum, and the Speaker of the House is the one who sets decorum. And so if he would like for tomorrow to be pajama day, then tomorrow you can wear pajamas on the floor. There's no rule that has been voted on for people to wear suits and ties. But their second comment, which is, go find another job. We've heard this before. You don't belong here. Your voice, your opinion, your spirit, your presence, your color, your kind don't belong in this space and in this environment. It makes us afraid. It worries us. And it is that type of spirit that the person who said this intended. It is that type of spirit that navigates and is the rule-making body, as it were, for the Tennessee State House and the Tennessee State Senate. And so when it comes to issues of abortion and limiting people's access to health care, when it comes to whether or not folks can do drag shows, whether or not folks can get access to medicine, it is about control and making sure that the people who are already the most marginalized, the people who are already being disinvested, and the folks who are already being most oppressed never get from outside the margins. And when, through people-powered movements, through prayers of ancestors, when we break through from the margins and the periphery to the center, they get afraid. And there is reason to be afraid, because we are not going to perpetuate these systems of injustice and allow it to happen in silence. We're not going to accept the violence that happens through legislating and codifying injustice and inequity to happen without us pushing back. And so they are worried that people like us, people like me, people like District 86 are going to continue to stand up and speak up and show up in a way that pushes back against the status quo. And they are exactly right. That's what we're going to keep doing.
Questions. Julia Mavo, you're first.
First of all, my brother, thank you for representing. I really appreciate it. I also would note the cynicism of your speaker, who quotes Lois DeBerry, a dear friend, a departed former Tennessee legislator, to say she's the one who started these rules. That's nonsense. But what I want to ask you in terms of your representation is, what kind of support are you getting from other legislators? Are other Black legislators standing with you in this, as well as progressive whites?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. And one of the things that I'll tell folks, we have to make sure that we are continuing to unify in the Democratic Party and for people who are progressive. One of the ways that you continue to sow division is to create separation. And I'm really fortunate there was a legislator shortly thereafter who said to me, he said, hey, actually next week I'm going to Ghana with my church and I'll be bringing you back some dashikis. And so there's definitely support that is happening and being had, and we have to think about how we turn that support into the work that we do and how we voice our opinions about the budget, how we continue to advocate for our communities, how we continue to do the work of justice. Because we know that, again, it isn't about the attire of a dashiki. It is about the representation that it brings into these environments and these spaces that have always seemingly been designed against us, that we have broken into and broken through to be. And so you mentioned Speaker Pro Temp Lois DeBerry as one of those folks. I mean, it is not just ironic. It is the cruelty of whiteness that says a now deceased extraordinary Black woman legislator would have berated one of the youngest Black legislators to be in the State House because he didn't have a tie on the special occasion of being sworn in. Right, and then for her, this extraordinary Black woman, only the second Black woman ever elected in the Tennessee State House, right? Her name gets used to be a bludgeon against a young Black lawmaker. And white folks, the speaker and all these other folks, they say, well, the rules came from this Black woman, and so that's why you need to obey them. Again, using Black people against Black people to prop up their systems. This is what we have to resist and have to speak out against. And in a place that is a supermajority white Republican racist supermajority, we have a responsibility as Black legislators to unite together on the issues that our communities care most deeply about, and also elevate our people in these places and in these spaces to show that we will show up. Because too many people marched and died and fought in order for us to get there. And being silent and accepting the berating without pushing back isn't something that we can allow.
I'm a Congo.
Congratulations on your work and your win, Representative Pearson. And the question I have for you is on a larger scale. In this country where so much of who we are is being attacked and people are removing us from the books and people who have to have the Crown Acts to protect hair, can you just share your overall thoughts about the importance in this moment now in showing up as your authentic Black self?
Well, thank you for that question. And listen, we Black and we beautiful. We got here not because people succumbed to all of the trauma and the challenges and the heartache and the pain of being Black. It's because they embraced the beauty and the vision and the opportunity that we have chosen to create in this place called the United States of America, despite everything that it has done to us and against us. We have made democracy possible here. We have made the vision that some white folks wrote on paper but did not believe more true. And we still have a lot of more work to do. And it is one recognizing that it isn't right that we have to have laws like the Crown Act that says you can't discriminate against someone because of the color of their hair. It isn't right for racist white governors to say we don't need to learn about Black history because that doesn't have value. It is not right for Black kids to be told that you can't learn about your history or critical race theory or things like this because white people and white children might learn that some of their ancestors enslaved African Americans, some of their ancestors propped up a system of injustice that we are feeling the vestiges of today. It is not right that we live in a country where over 4,000 people have been documented and lynched, and we have yet to have a day of mourning or a moment of recognition in our educational systems or in our society about those injustices. It is not right that we are forced to live under the oppression that we do. But what is really powerful in this moment, and what I think has been a catalyst since we learned and fully grasped the understanding about the lynchings of Breonna Taylor and the lynching of George Floyd and the lynching of Ahmaud Arbery and the true power of their lives and the legacy after 2020 about our responsibility as Black people in this society, which is to not accept the silences, is to continue to shout even after the cameras have faded. We can't breathe. Let's continue to realize that our fights are still here and now, and we have to elevate the voices of our community, particularly at a time and in a place where we are facing so many people who are against us. I am from Memphis, Tennessee, and we are dealing with the loss, the murder of Tyree Nichols, killed by multiple police officers who were Black and African American. Of course, there were white officers and county deputies and EMTs who refused to help him, and he died and was killed in January. But what we are realizing is there's a system of white supremacy that is permeating all facets of our lives. There's a system that is being designed against us. And we have a responsibility to recognize what is happening at large and to resist it, even for Black men in particular, when some of those systems might benefit us, when it comes to patriarchy in particular. And realizing that until we position our policies and our practices and our speech and our voice to elevate the person most marginalized, which in our communities are Black women, and say what is done unto Black women will be the litmus test for the progress of this country. And if we have not made sure that equal pay really does become a reality, if we have not made sure that childcare is a guarantee and universal basic income is elevated, if we don't do things that help the person who's most marginalized in the Black community, using our voice and our power and our privilege, then we as a country will never be who and what we possibly can be. But there is hope. And this is the reality that I am fortunate to live into each day.
Congo? All right, so hold tight 1 second. Renita.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. You have perfectly described the nuance of serving in these legislatures across the country. I just finished 6 years in the Georgia House, and every day I would wear my Black Solidarity pin and my Still I Rise pin, and I would get the same dirty looks and questions from white male cisgendered legislators asking, what is that? What does that mean? Or what are you trying to do? Those sorts of questions. So, frequently I would tell folks that really serving these legislatures is really very much of a plantation type culture. And it is our duty to resist every single day and be visible about that resisting. So I just want to say to you, continue to do what you're doing. And my only question is, what is the best way for everyone to support you? Can they donate to you year round? When is your reelection? Just what can folks do to support you?
Well, thank you so much for the question. I greatly appreciate it. And to your point, a lot of work is happening at state legislatures across the country. And so folks really have to pay attention to what's happening in your state house and your state senate. I know there's a fascination with federal politics, but what is happening at the state level is really important to what is happening in our day-to-day lives. And we are seeing in the South and across the South the progress that is being fought for federally or nationally being sent back to the states due to the conservative Supreme Court. And so working in the state legislature is so important. And thank you for your service there. Our speaker literally called himself an overseer. Okay, an overseer of the progressive and more liberal cities. This isn't fake, right? Like, this is very real. The danger of having people in positions of power who are harmful to our communities and view themselves as overseers as they were on the plantations. And so the veil of history is quite thin, and we need more support in our movement. And you can go to votejustinj.com. Right now, you will not be able to donate until June 1st, but you will be able to join our mailing list to volunteer with us virtually, because we want to continue to inform, educate, and activate our community. building people power is something that we talk about a lot in Memphis, and it is elevating our voices, and it is showing up in a way civically that makes sure those who are in positions of power and who have been empowered by the people do what is right and do what is just by the communities that they serve at the local, state, and at the federal level. And so, yes, you can go to votejustinj.com, fill out that form for us, and we will be in touch over the coming weeks about ways that you can continue to support us. If it is legislatively in the State House, we'll let you know. If it's locally, we'll let you know that too. But we are looking to build a people-powered movement that centers the most marginalized, that listens to those most affected by the issues of poverty and injustice, and advocate in order that people might elevate their voices to help create the change that we need. And we are not in this for one legislative cycle or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, but we are in this for a lifetime, believing that change is possible because we've seen it happen in our environmental justice movement, and we are continuing to see it happen right now in Memphis, and we want to continue that work. As Dr. King said, the movement lives or dies in Memphis, and that work continues in Memphis as well.
Right then, Representative Justin Pearson, we certainly appreciate you joining us, and trust me, if you rock some of the dashikis I had, they would really be trying to run you out.
Hey, send them to me, Roland. I'll take it.
It's all good.
Thank you so much.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, gotta go to a break. We come back. We'll talk with the Howard University swim team, many call the real HU. They make the cover of Sports Illustrated. Yes, the Hampton graduates around here, like Henry and Anthony, take offense to that, but they'll get over it. All right, folks, we'll talk to them next on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. A little bit later, Massy Aries will be joining me here in Los Angeles, talking about, again, Fit, Live, Win, New You in 2023, how to make sure that you get your workouts on when you're traveling. Yeah, not always an easy thing to do. All right, folks, back in a moment.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, a relationship that we have to have. We're often afraid of it and don't like to talk about it. That's right, we're talking about our relationship with money. And here's the thing, our relationship with money oftentimes determines whether we have it or not.
The truth is you cannot change what you will not acknowledge.
Balancing your relationship with your pocketbook. That's next on A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, here at Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Yo, it's your man Dion Cole from Blackish, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
Switch it. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered here on the Black Star Network, live in Los Angeles, where we'll be, of course, attending the NAACP Image Awards. That's going to be taking place on Saturday. Pre-shows on Friday. Then, of course, you have the actual awards program on Saturday. We'll be live on the red carpet on Saturday as well. So you definitely want to check that out. Folks, a lot of things going on and looking forward to it. So, Black folks, y'all know how we do. We do all kinds of different stuff. And you might have seen a video that's gone viral on how lit the Howard University swim meets are. They say, look, even some of the other schools are like, yo, we need to do this more often. Howard University was featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated of their swim team. Y'all got the video. Go ahead and show it, control room. It's they're the first all-black swim team to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. They're nearing their first conference championship in more than 3 decades. The men are 6-2. The women are 5-3. That is no surprise to their coach, Nick Askew, a Howard alum who broke records while he was a student swimmer. He joins us from Geneva, Ohio. Vic, how you doing?
Brother Roland, thanks so much for having me, man. I'm doing great.
Glad to have you here on the show. So tell us about, again, why you decided to become head coach and getting rid of this perception that, oh, black folks, we don't swim.
It's absolutely a myth, Roland. Let me tell you, growing up all my life, I'm from originally North Carolina. I had very few role models to look up to. I was blessed to have a family that swam. Both my parents swam. And I had 2 older brothers who were also Howard alums who swam growing up and pretty much had no choice but to take up competitive swimming. And especially as I continued to progress and get better and better, it was, people of color were few and far between. So it was hard for me to be able to have a group of people that I could relate to in those elite levels until I got to Howard. Being a freshman on Howard's campus, being able to be surrounded by Black excellence was a huge motivator for me. And I just wanted to be able to bring that same motivation to the student athletes that I now have the opportunity to be the head coach for.
Tell us about how the unique HBCU experience at your swim meets has caused even other schools to say, hey, man, we like coming to these swim meets here at Howard. They do a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me tell you, the environment that we have at the Burr at Howard University is unmatched. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do in coming on board was first to fill my coaching staff with people who really were going to pour into the program. We have one of the most dynamic coaching staffs on any pool deck, I can promise you that. And then the next thing we wanted to be able to do is we wanted to develop the swimmers and divers that we had a part of our program. And then we wanted to make sure that people wanted to come to see them. So a couple of things that we did is we had to change the aesthetics of the pool area. We got some paint. We started painting the walls. We painted the bleachers. We put up some branding with the Howard University logos all over the place. And then we had to make sure we had music, right? Where do you go where you're going to be entertained that does not have music? So we brought on an on-deck DJ that plays at every single one of our home meets, making sure that the energy is just electric in the entire environment. And what's really cool about that is the fact that when there's energy in the stands, it makes our swimmers swim faster and our divers dive better. And then when they're winning, that makes the energy in the stands go up that much higher. So we have a crazy, crazy environment here to the point now where every home meet that we host is sold out. And I need everybody to imagine that. We sell out swim meets every single home meet on the campus of an HBCU, where the majority of people are Black or brown, especially given the fact that 65% of African Americans have limited or no swimming ability. So we're doing some really special things, and we're glad that the world is taking notice.
All right, questions from my panel. Makongo, you're first.
This is really amazing and exciting. And my kids are going on a tour of Howard tomorrow, actually. They've been talking about wanting to go to Howard. One of the things that I've been writing about in my upcoming book that looks at this, about lies about Black people, is this idea of Black people can't swim, not because they can't physically swim, but because there have been so many barriers to entry in our community to swimming. Can you talk about some of the experiences that you have had or that your other students may share with you about some of the barriers and challenges that many of us have faced in our community regarding swimming?
Yeah, I mean, we can go just very shortly back to the amount of access that we've been able to have in our communities. Growing up in the cities, we had very limited access in my generation because a lot of the pools were undermanaged or underserviced, and then they were filled in to never be reused again. And then we can go even farther back to, Jim Crow, where we were not allowed to be able to use the facilities, where we had the people moving into the rural areas and membership country club style denial of access. All of our swimmers that come to Howard know that Howard is a special environment. As an HBCU, it's a safe haven for every individual that enrolls at Howard. And being able to be a swimmer or diver in a sport that doesn't look like us is a special, special place that for the once in our competitive lives, we get to be in an environment where we're no longer the minority, where we can have the conversations on deck in the locker room about things that matter to us that we couldn't have those kind of conversations about. I speak as a Black male, bald head, but there's many conversations about hair, which is a barrier for a lot of our people of color because we don't have enough products out there that will help with hair management for the textures of hair in the Black and brown community, on down to skincare. So those are just barriers that, again, we're able to overcome. But the overall myth that Black people don't swim is just that, a myth.
Thank you.
Renita.
Well, thank you for the great work that you're doing with the swim team. My question is, how has this affected the swimmers directly as far as morale? I mean, I'm sure they have to be excited about everything that's going on, but how has this affected just their overall outlook and where they think they can go with swimming?
Let me tell you, this group of young men and young women is a spectacular group. All season long, we've been talking about that as a group, we are the energy. We don't have to do anything other than be ourselves. And good things are going to happen as we get ready to go into this conference championships, looking to capture a conference title for the first time in over 3 decades. They are on 10. And I don't think that would be any different if there wasn't as much, as many lights that are being shined on the program right now, because that's just who we are. One of the things that one of our captains talked about just this evening at dinner was, however, making sure that we continue to represent the brand of Howard University swimming and diving, and making sure that we are on our P's and Q's, because now the world is into our space. We want to make sure that we're continuing to show them all the greatness that we're capable of.
Julian.
Nick, congratulations. I'm very happy for you and for the team at Howard. We know each other. You do good work, and just congratulations. Now, what's the most exciting meet that you won? I mean, I know you're faced against PWIs and others. What was the sweetest victory? Tell me I'll beat Harvard or something.
Well, we haven't quite gotten Harvard on our schedule. There are a lot of programs that are asking to be on our schedule and asking to come to our home meets. But it wasn't one that we won. We did just fall short at the Battle at the Burr, which was our home opener, which was in October of this year versus Georgetown University. And that was just a spectacular event. We sold over 2,000 tickets. We had an overflow. We had a VIP area. We had a band. It was just an amazing, amazing environment. The entire natatorium was just electric the entire time. And unfortunately, our team did fall short by 2 points. But we're looking forward to Battle at the Burr 2 coming at the 1st of October of 2023. And we will have a rematch against Jack Levitt's team over at Georgetown.
Save me a ticket.
Absolutely. I got you covered.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Good luck, and hope you guys do well for the rest of the season.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys having me. God bless.
Oh, hold up. I got one question because I got 2 Hampton graduates. Does Hampton have a swim team?
Hampton does not have a swim team. We need to be writing letters to all of our HBCUs because in the 70s and 80s,
he said Hampton does not have a swim team.
No. We need to be writing letters to all of the administration because in the 70s and 80s, there were no less than about 25 other HBCUs that had programs. And unfortunately, at this point, Howard is the only HBCU that has a program, but it doesn't have to be that way.
I got
Bring
you.
on the Pirates.
All right, Coach.
Bring
Thanks so
those
much. Good
Pirates
luck.
on.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. All right, thanks a bunch. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk with fitness expert, Coach Massy Aries. How to stay fit when you're traveling on the road. Also, when it comes to your eating, all different things along those lines. We'll talk to her next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Next on Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. Listen to this. Women of color are starting 90% of the businesses in this country. That's the good news. The bad news, as a rule, we're not making nearly as much as everyone else. But joining us on the next Get Wealthy episode is Betty Hines. She's a business strategist, and she's showing women how to elevate other women.
I don't like to say this openly, but we're getting better at it. Women struggle with collaborating with each other. And for that reason, one of the things that I demonstrate in the sessions that I have is that you can go further together if you collaborate.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Teresa Griffin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, we're back in Los Angeles. Roland Martin here on the Black Star Network. Glad to see all of you here. And so, you know, all year we've had our segments, A New You in 2023. We've had probably now, 12, 15 different folks, dietitians, fitness experts, men, women, you name it, trying to get people, not just those who are young or middle-aged, but also folks who are 40, 50, and 60 plus. And so we've been having different conversations. And so one of the things that happens when you travel, it is always a different deal when you're trying to stay fit because, again, you have meetings and then you're in airports. And, of course, your food is not always as consistent as it is when you're at home. And so we came out here and we said, hey, let's chat with Massy Aries. It's been a long time since I chatted with her. I had chatted with her on my TV One show, and so glad to see her again. Actually, finally see her in person. It was always virtual. So how's it going?
It's going well. It's just another day in LA.
I got you. Well, it's a little different because, you know, last time we actually had, you know, it was warmer.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the heck's been going on for the last couple of weeks in LA with this. People in LA be hitting me like, man, what's up with this?
Global warming.
They like, yo. They're like, this is chill.
Yes.
It's messing up jacuzzi nights. That's what they supposed to keep saying.
It's fine. You need a little change.
True. So before we talk about the whole piece when it comes to fitness, you said something when we were chatting before we came on the air. You said about this moving movement. You didn't call it a fitness movement. You said moving movement. Why?
Because, you know, people have this idea of the perfect workout, and then you start making excuses for anything. And movement is movement. So you can get fit by walking, you can get fit by hiking, you can get fit by doing the workouts I do, you can get fit by training, doing all these movement philosophies. So there's not one way of doing things, just like there's not one way of dieting per se. Right. Because I don't believe in dieting either. Mm-hmm. So whatever movement philosophy you want to acquire for whatever it is that you have in your surroundings, you should be able to do that.
When I was in Jamaica for over the Christmas and New Year's holiday, I told someone that I said, you know, I only worked out like one day. Mm-hmm. Those are 10 days. So really take out the first day, you take out the last day, really 8 days. But literally walked anywhere from 3 to 5 miles every day just along the beach.
Exactly.
Wasn't a power walk. I mean, I was taking my time. And so when I got back, the guy who handles my food meal prep, he's like, okay, how bad did it go? And I said, oh, no. I said, I lost 7.5 pounds. He's like, what? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. So, and that's the thing, because we have been conditioned to think, oh, no, it has to be everything high impact, strenuous, and all of that, when it was, and it's not like I was eating just salads the whole time. I actually was eating what I wanted to eat, but to your point.
But you're moving your body.
There you go.
I broke my wrist. I fractured my wrist 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. I just started to move again. So if I was not using my upper body, I was going to use my lower body. And I found ways to think outside the box and move my body.
Got it.
You know, in the 2 months, I still look the same. I have not really lost conditioning and strength. It's going to come. So when you're thinking, okay, where can I get fit? My parents were here for 3 months. I got them off every single medication, and all they did was walk. My dad is 70. My mom is 63, going on 64. No longer on medication, but I did have them here for 3 months.
One of our guys who works at Black Star Network, Joe, he dropped 30 plus because we were on a Zoom, and I was like, Joe, what the hell you been doing?
Exactly.
And he said, bro, walking every day.
And you can make choices. I mean, I'm that person that is going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you what you need to hear. I am going to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. You look at your choices every single day. You look at your movement every single day. What are you not doing? Mm-hmm. Because even by walking, you're creating deficit. Every single day that you're just tidy up what you're eating, tidy up what you're consuming on a regular basis, and you're going to see progress. Mm-hmm. Now, with the Latinx and the African American communities, what I've internalized from my own is how do we handle stress, and we're just not coping in the right ways. Mm-hmm. So decreasing stress and overlooking at your behavioral patterns, it's going to impact everything that you do on a regular basis.
Gotcha. Now, one of the things, again, when we talk about traveling, you're always on the road, whatever. And so I saw, it was one of your videos I saw, because you're always doing stuff somewhere. And you were in an airport. You were doing something. And so we can walk over here. So we got, because I saw it, I was like, you know what? Because I spent so much time in the airports. And it was pretty interesting. Let's just slide back right over there. It was pretty interesting. Whatever the exercise you were doing, you were like, no, get your stretchers in. You were using one of the chairs that was in the airport.
I was stretching.
Right.
I mean, when you're traveling, you're locked. Your hips are locked. You're not really going to be moving. I need to move.
Got it.
You know, the less you move, the stiffer you're going to get, the more in pain you're going to be. So I was just showing, hey, let me just stretch out. It was like a 15-minute thing, but I was just moving. And I keep pacing up and down. I never stopped moving. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
for
that
everyone.
makes sense. No. So,
but I never stopped moving.
Gotcha. So it was, I think I forgot, because you were what? It was back and legs and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I was using a chair. I was just using the chair, extending my arms, releasing my hamstrings, releasing the hip flexors, which usually cause a lot of back pain.
Right.
I was just doing
Because so many people, when they fly, they don't get up.
Yes.
Which is always strange to me, because I get up several times. I'm like, it's like a 4 or 5 hour flight, and I'll see someone sitting on the window. They don't move the entire time.
No, and then flying is very harsh on the body. And you should stay extremely hydrated. You should move. And the first thing that people do going to the hotel is going from a sitting position straight to sleep, right?
Not good.
Not good. Move that body, stretch that body, because you have been locked in. And usually when you're traveling, you're off your routine. It's not going to be so difficult for you to pack a pair of sneakers, for you to stretch out, use the facility, the gym at the facility, go for a run, stretch. At the end of the day, you have resources if you are being taught maybe a few tips here and there.
Well, so let's say there's somebody who's traveling and they might be late and they don't necessarily want to go to the gym. I have bands upstairs that you could obviously use, put in the door. But let's just say we're in a hotel room and look, it's a table, it's a chair, they're in the room, and some people also don't see it as safe. We saw the video the other day of the woman who led a guy into the gym and he almost attacked her. And so let's just say someone's in a hotel room and they can only utilize what's in the room. What should they do?
Well, for example, most of my programming, it's without equipment.
Okay.
And that's what I'm known for. You are the machine. You can use your body as a machine. All variations of planks. You have a chair. That could be your bench for your step-ups, for Bulgarian split squats. I mean, there's an infinite amount of things that you can do with your body.
Gotcha.
Right? So we're talking about a step-up or a, let's say, find me a chair. I don't know. Find me a chair so that I can show you.
This might be a little.
There you go.
This might be a little too.
Yeah, if I want to step.
You're not going to find a bamboo one in your.
Yeah, but if I want to step,
right,
step up. If I want to use this,
Don't worry
if
about
I want to use this as a squat and a jump or a squat, right? There's a lot of things that you can use. If, let's say, you don't have as much upper body strength, you can use this chair for push-ups or for modified planks, right? So when we talk about movement, there's a lot of things that you can do with just your body. Right? So bands, planks, infinite amounts of choices.
And then and what you're laying out, that's whether you travel or whether you're just at home and you don't have a home gym. You just use what's there. And you don't need tons of space.
You don't need a lot of space. You don't need a lot of tools.
Because you know how people get, it's like, okay, I got to have this, I got to have the mat, I got to have the app, I got to have the app, the foam roller. And again, people start going through like, all this stuff costs.
The perfect outfit, the perfect tools. You are the machine.
Got it.
You know, and when people at home, I'm all about isometric training, right? Making sure that your body, that you're able to use your body and master your body weight before you even engage in outside tools, for example, a resistance training, right? So I'm very strong because I know I dominate my body. So all philosophies of training, movement, you can do a lot with your body.
All right, hold tight 1 second. I got to go to a break. We come back more with Massy Aries here in Los Angeles. Panel got some questions, and I know Julianne, who she claims she does Pilates. I ain't seen no photos, no videos, no evidence on Instagram, not nan. You know Julianne, we know we ain't seen it. So we got questions from her, Renita and Omakongo. We come back right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, please, don't forget, I want you to actually join our Black Star Network program by downloading our OTT app, available on all platforms: Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Of course, we're also on Amazon News, their platforms. So when you go to Amazon Fire TV, go over to Amazon News. We see all the networks: ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. You see Black Star Network as well. The only black-owned 24 hours, 7 days a week, black news and information channel. So you want to check us out there, again, on Amazon News. And then we'll be adding other platforms. I'll be announcing those real soon. Every Monday, of course, we talk about Fit, Live, Win. We've been talking about a new you in 2023. And so we're here in L.A., so we hit up Massy Aries and like, yo, let's talk about, again, that new you. Many of you travel. Y'all know we do it as well. So you're always trying to stay fit. You're always trying to get it in. Sometimes you can't go jogging if you want to. And so getting you to think different ways to stay healthy, to stay fit, to keep, as you say, to keep moving. So let's take some questions from our panel. So let's see here. Julianne, I'm going to go ahead and go to you first. Let's see what's your question, Julianne.
I heard you clowning me. Anyway, sister, thank you for your work. Thank you I saw your video and it was really very good. You talked about managing stress, and I think that's a really big thing, especially for Black women. And you also in your video talked a little bit about depression. Tell us how exercise works with depression as well as with stress. What does exercise help us, and how does it help us with those things that hit us so hard?
Well, you have 4 hormones that control how you feel. You have serotonin, dopamine, you have oxytocin, which is that love hormone that we all need, and endorphins. And when you're exercising, the rewiring that happens in your brain is real. Whether it's for a couple of hours, it does happen. So dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin, if you are training in a open space, right, with other people, all those hormones get rewired. So this is how exercise and nutrition, and this is how I changed my lifestyle. It was through exercise, and I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. And most of us, 85% of a lot of the mental health illnesses or emotions that we feel on a regular basis could be offset with nutrition and exercise. That is proven. 85%.
Wow.
Literally. So there's a lot of rewiring that happens in your brain.
So what you're trying to say is, again, because our society is so much about medication.
Well, just like I said, my dad is 70, my mom is 63, and all of their medications off. Latinx and African American communities, we need to change the way that we eat because we're eating poor man's food. We're living with slaved food, if you think about it. I'm Dominican, but we were slaves. I'm an Afro-Latina, and we're still eating how we were eating as slaves. That's not the truth now. So we do have these two resources, which is the sun, movement, and what we put in our bodies. And I can honestly, I'm a living proof of that. So if you want to rewire your brain, you have to be able to move. And I use movement so much because it all takes, if I tell you right now, put on your sneakers, the first thing that you're going to do when you wake up in the morning is get some sun, go out and walk. You will feel completely different. This is why people in California, you pay so much money for the sun that you get every single day, and you have seasonal depression in areas that are cold, right? I used to suffer a lot.
Because you can't get out.
You can't have any sun. So a good strategy would be to get a lamp that simulates the sun, because it's correlated to the way that we feel.
Cool.
Yes.
I'm a Congo.
I am a huge fan of your work, and I really appreciate everything that you're doing. And wasn't sure.
As most people say, how do you get motivated to continue to move? If you are under a lot of stress, chronic stress, it's not only going to trigger a lot of things, but one of the things that it will trigger is that your body's actually chronically stressed. Anyone who's watching right now, I highly suggest for them to not only start moving, but learn how to de-stress. One of the books that I have for everyone who's watching at home is Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers by Robert Salposky.
Why zebras don't get ulcers?
Why zebras don't get ulcers. Because most of the diseases that we're having right now in the Western world are coming because of stress.
Gotcha.
And Latinx and African Americans, we're all showing our stressors on our bodies.
See, that's why I cuss people out. I mean, really just lower stress. I mean, I'm not carrying stuff around. You know, I'm not sitting here, you know, holding it in. And it just frees you.
Or we can just all go to therapy. That's what we vent out.
So basically, Massy said, cuss them out or go to therapy. I'll do the former. All right, let's go. Omakongo, what's your question?
I'm a huge fan of the work that you're doing and been following you for a while. So just thank you for all you're doing and helping us elevate our health. My question comes back to dieting. You said you don't believe in dieting and more about the lifestyle changes, and I completely understand that. I wanted to know if you consider something like intermittent fasting to be like a dietary thing, and if not, is it just wise to just not eat after a certain hour? Like, what are your thoughts as it relates to not so much what to eat, but when to eat?
Okay, I'll tell you just something very simple. Your body does not know if it's, for example, circadian rhythm. We know it's day because the sun, right? And as the sun sets, we know it's nighttime. Your body doesn't function that way. So intermittent fasting is something that I do myself, right? But it's because of the work that I do. So I wake up really early. I would feel very lethargic when I eat something. So for my lifestyle,
early, what time?
5 in the morning.
Oh, hell yeah, that's way too early. That's, oh, Lord. Sometimes I go,
So intermittent fasting, I know, intermittent fasting is great, right? But when we talk about dieting, it's very specific. This is why there's no diet that is going to fit everyone, right? So what I tell people, I believe in whole foods, because whole foods, it's for fuel. We not only eat to look a certain way. When people look at me, oh, I want all the muscles, I want to look like that. Well, I follow a very specific diet and I move a lot. Is that going to say it would be conducive for someone who does not want to look very muscular? So when it comes down to nutrition, this is what I'm going to tell everyone at home. Learn what your goals are. If you want to look like an athlete, you're going to eat like an athlete. If you want to be healthy, you can't really start thinking, I'm just going to eat a 500-calorie diet and think that that's sustainable. If you're yo-yoing, right, and you come back to the same habits, think about something that you can sustain. So with my parents and how I got them off all their medication and how I got them 40, 50 pounds down, right, over 100 pounds, both of them, in less than a year, right? I told them get rid of alcohol. They really don't drink. And all things that are processed. They were left with whole foods. So we were eating a variety of foods. But when it comes to whole foods, something that is not processed, the combinations of foods that you're integrating, they're going to have everything that you need. Protein, fiber, micronutrients, all your macros, everything together. So instead of me telling my mom, hey, you cannot eat a banana because you have a craving and it's 9 or 10 at night, instead of her suffering through not having something sweet, hey, have your banana. Let's have a bowl of fruit, because that is going to be a lot healthier than the pint of ice cream that she was having. So over time, people need to start thinking, this is not a race, it's a marathon. So if you're doing something that is not sustainable, you're going to quit. This is not, I'm not the coach that is going to give you a diet that now you're losing 20 pounds in a month. It's that really healthy. Right? If it sounds too good to be true, you already know. You know what you need to do. We should not be here in denial. So this is what I say. I'm going to give you the tools to fly on your own, right? This is why I have programming that you can do, right? But if you're listening to what I'm saying, anyone can get fit.
Okay, Renita.
And healthy.
Renita, I got literally 45 seconds. I got 20 seconds for your question, 20 for the answer. Go.
Okay, Massy, how long does it take to build a habit of working out every day? People used to say you do anything for 21 days in a row, and you now have a new habit. Is it the same for exercise, or what has been your experience?
My experience is I don't deviate. You guys have seen me for the past 11 years, and I don't deviate. I've been teaching the same philosophy, done in different ways, for 11 years, and I don't deviate. There's never a day that I don't move. And that doesn't mean I may just go for a walk. I literally just took my brace off. I've been off the game for 2 months, but I never stop moving. You can go walk, you can go stretch. Stop the excuses that you're telling your head based on what you see out there. It takes a habit. Yes, 3 weeks for you to make it a habit, but it takes consistency. And you have to ask yourself, how much do I want this? Do you want to be in pain for the rest of your life, or do you want to make a change?
There you go. All right. Tell people where they can follow you.
They can follow me. My name is Massy Aries. You can follow me everywhere. And my MA365, it's now live. I put a project together.
Cool.
I will change your life in a year. MA365 on massyaries.com/links.
She changed your parents' life, so I think that'll work. Always good to see you. I appreciate it.
Great to see you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Folks, that is it. I will see you tomorrow right here from Los Angeles. We had a great interview with Jimmy Jam. I can't wait for y'all to see it on Rolling with Roland. We got Mark Curry tomorrow, Eric Dickerson, Talib Kweli on Wednesday. We got a bunch of great people we're talking to this week. And so y'all want to be sure to check us out. And so I'll see you tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered. Julian, Amakongo, Renita, thanks a bunch. And folks, y'all know how we do it. Well, it's in the show the same way. Halt! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punch
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge